Well, so guten Morgen. Thank you everyone for the invitation. It's a pleasure being here today. This is the start of the lunchtime colloquium, especially at this Rachel Gerson Center for the name of the center itself, no, and what have meant Rachel Carson for all the environmental activism at the end and all his inspiring ideas. So I'm Sergi Cot. I'm currently a member of the city council government in Catalonia, in Girona, a city in Catalonia. Now I will present you a bit more the city to let you know a bit more about that and give you an idea. Girona is a bit is this city here up north from Barcelona, more or less 1 hour between Barcelona and France. It's a bit more than 100,000 population with an urban area of almost 200,000 population between different small villages altogether. It's this kind of medium cities that are spread all over in Catalonia, either or in Spain. I guess it's more or less the same in Germany, no, apart from Barcelona and Madrid. And then more or less all the other cities are more or less the same size, approximately, of course. But in Catalonia, especially, we have 4 regions, which is Girona, Tarragona in the south, Lleida in the center, and then Barcelona. And we are one of the 4th biggest, or more, not biggest, but most important cities in Catalonia. Here you have a map of the urban distribution of Girona. We are surrounded by forests, actually, by kind of countryside. We also have like gardens and other areas where or like natural areas, because we have such an important river across Girona. Actually, it's called Girona, the city of the 4th of the 4 rivers. Actually, you may know that in Catalonia we had a strong drought. Actually we are still inside, but the last 3 years have been terrific in terms of water supply, and we are inside a huge crisis. So these 4 rivers, nowadays we can say we have only 1, and this is because the other 3 are kind of temporary, and well, it's something really horrible and worrying. So then, more or less, I gave you a quick idea of Girona, and now I will present you why we are here. And we are here kind of a local institution and an academic institution, very important in Catalonia and also internationally. Here we want to present you kind of a pioneering agreement that actually I forgot, sorry, we are in power since May 2023, so almost 1 year and a half. That were the last local elections in Spain, and since April, May of the last of this year, 2024, we started an official, after many gathers, reunions and meetings, we started a kind of a 4-length agreement, which is really pairing and it's kind of a new idea that we expect that can open many doors, and also like give some inspiration to more cities, actually more towns, to trying to make the same, because we just know that there are many other places interested in trying to repeat this idea, because it's kind of a conceptual idea. The thing is, we put all together these four squares over there, more or less. We have, and this is, let's say, the new or the pioneering thing of the idea. In the bottom, you have the city council, so Girona, like it could also be Munich, for example, no? Then in the north, you have DM. DM is a kind of let's say think tank or a consultancy company about urban transformation, and it's international and globally. We know a guy that works in this company, let's say, or this organization, and they were really interested to be part of this agreement. And then both academical institutions. On the left, you have R&D, which Borja is member of its board, and then he will explain a bit more. And it's part of the Autònoma University of Barcelona. And on the right, you have the local University of Girona and research, like a local research institution called Colloquium. So they are like the same part, like two sides of the coin, no? Like institutional academic institutions, one from one local, one from Girona, and the other one from Barcelona. And why is from Barcelona? Because they are kind of the like really international, or they have a very huge international reputation in terms of ecology, political ecology and degrowth studies, so on. So we put these two institutions all together to start working to investigate or to try to apply these theories about degrowth, post-growth, and at the end eco-social transformation, and trying to apply into a local level, no? And then we have DM, Dark Matter Labs, that their purpose on all this experience, all this trouble, is to spread it out, to make trying to look for funding, trying to spread internationally and make like some networks or networking, and actually engage with other parts or of the world, or either so making some international action, let's say, no. We've got here in the picture we are one member of the four institutions. We appeared in like different newspapers, either local at local level in Girona, also in Catalonia, also in Spain. Actually, we got to the president of Colombia was inspired somehow, and he put on Twitter like kind of a tweet. Gustavo Petro saying when this new appeared in May or was published in May, past May, he said like really inspiring things that happening in Catalonia. Just it was funny, and actually was surprising, to be honest, because of course our president didn't care, and then he's the president of Colombia that has to pay attention on this. But anyway, you know, maybe how does it work? And then I don't know. We just wanted to summarize this. It's being really inspiring, or really or like many people, many other institutions or organizations or even local governments are interested for the moment. But the thing is that we are being together for 6 months, so we're starting to plan what we'll do for the next 3 years, and we have few ideas, and then we can discuss and we can explain. But I think the idea is, or the big challenge that we'll also explain later, is how to reply this relation, this four-length agreement, this four-length relation, putting in the center the post-growth policies, And the main objective is bidirectional in terms of, for the academy, I think you may know, or you will discover for the new people that you hear, if you let me say this, but sometimes it's difficult to apply all these fantastic ideas that are on the academy, applying it into outside the campus, it's like going to the Munich City Hall and saying, okay, we are doing this, like apply this because we know that it works. This is this is the truth. Then nobody is in the room, and this is a huge challenge everywhere. So we started this common journey to trying to break this ice, trying to taking advantage that we follow, or especially me as a former or environmental activist, I follow this. Of course, I trust this, but it's not enough, because at the end it's like money. It's like having time to apply different things to think. So there are many challenges on this, but at least we broke the ice and we said, okay, they may need somewhere that pay attention on this and trying to apply all what they say, or all what they purpose, or all what they investigate, etc. And then the other side of the coin, the other interest is for us to having more knowledge, more clear ideas, to spread the idea that the planet has limits, biophysical limits, social limits, and also trying to avoid the inertia or dynamics of any institution at any level has. So even either the Munich City Hall or the land of Bavaria, like everywhere, or in Berkeley or California's government, whatever, there are many dynamics that you can understand, and it's very difficult to break them, and trying to have time to say we are planning the future, we are facing all the big climate and social ecological challenges, and all these things that you know. So now I give it to Borja, who will continue with a bit more explaining about this, going inside more the post-growth and things that they do in the and you do also in the academy.
Thank you. Well, yeah, I'm just going to go a bit over the basics, perhaps, because some of you may be wondering what's about post-growth, what's about degrowth, very rapidly, so we can then go back to how these ideas fit in the agreement that Sergi just presented. Well, they are very much aware, I assume, that we are amidst what is sometimes called the polycrisis, a crisis of crises. It's not only environmental, it's not only climate, but it's also social, economic, cultural, civilizational. And is it in this context of deep crisis that the idea of degrowth is taking pace? It's becoming more and more popular. And I will just use a common definition of degrowth to have a common ground of discussion, which is degrowth is an equitable downscaling of production and consumption that increases human well-being and enhances ecological conditions at the local and global level in the short and long term. What's important is also that it's offered as a social choice. That is, it's not imposed as an external imperative for environmental or other reasons. So let's say if there is a downscaling of production and consumption through a catastrophe, through a hurricane, through a dictatorial system that imposes this would be austerity, this would be deprivation, or this would be a collapse, which is happening already in many places on the world. So the idea is also that to do that we need to do changes in the way we live, and the way we organize production and economic activities, the way we organize the provisioning of life. So decentralizing and deepening democratic institutions and repoliticizing the economy are prime objectives of the degrowth movement. So that would be the idea that's sometimes pictured with this contrast of the elephant and the snail. And the snail, for those who don't know, it's usually used as a symbol of degrowth. Why? Because this picture explains it. So if you have an elephant, that would be the big industrial capitalist economy, global economy that we have now, that consumes massive amounts of energy and materials. You need a lot of this input, which also creates a lot of output in forms of pollution and environmental destruction to keep it alive. No? If not, then you have a recession, you have a crisis. Then if the elephant has GDP growth, then it's happy. If it stays more or less the same, it's kind of a stationary state. No? It stays at the same level that it is now, with the impacts that it has now. But if you reduce, if you have less growth, which is actually what is happening already at a global scale, you have recessions sometimes, and then you can have also crises or depressions. So the idea is not to work in this type of social metabolism, this interrelation of economy and the environment, but actually build something different, something leaner, something that is more on consonance, an economy, a society that lives more in consonance with the ecosystems that it's embedded in. That's why the shell of the snail, if it grows too much, at some point it would become too big for the snail to carry it. No? So at some point it grows exponentially in this very kind of this famous figure, no, of the I don't know how to call it in English, but anyway, you get the point. No? It starts very small, it becomes very big, but at some point it needs to stop. Well, that's the idea. Then a bit the confusion between degrowth and postgrowth, because we are using both here. So if we think about it we are there in the starting point, we have a growth economy with all its problems that creates what we need is a transition period. That's the degrowth period, let's say, that transforms the economy in a radical sense to get to the post-growth economy, right, or the post-growth society. So that would be the main difference, but sometimes they are used interchangeably, and sometimes they are also used tactically, because post-growth is less scary than degrowth. For some people. For others, it's more desirable.
Politically, this is very important, to be honest.
So that's why the agreement is also called post-growth. So we are focusing on the positive aspects. Not that degrowth necessarily needs to be negative, but people tend to associate to negative issues. We will get back to that. Another basic idea to explain what's the mentality around thinking like this, it's this idea of the iceberg. Maybe some of you are familiar. It's also used quite a lot in feminist economics, or Gibson Graham community economics. But this idea that actually when we think about the economy, we talk about the economy, usually we talk about the tip of the iceberg. That's the monetized capitalist economy based on wage labor and industrial production, etc., which creates all sorts of things. No? But actually, what sustains all of this is all these other types of economy. If we understand economy as a process of producing and reproducing life and well-being, that's all this non-monetized, non-salaried, non-wage labor, reproducctive labor, care labor, also the labor in a metaphorical sense that the earth gives, that the biosphere gives us, like the idea of the ecosystem service. You can conceptualize it as you want, but the idea would be to, of course, flip it. No? So if we could valorize, we could expand what's really the core of having a society that's healthy and just, then we should focus on that rather than on the top. And just to say that, this idea is getting more popular in the science community, in the academic community, but also in the media. And you can, if you want to dip a bit deeper, can watch those documentaries. These two are quite recent. This is from Arte, which is I assume you know, the French German chain that also some people from R&D appear. The one was published by the BBC a couple of months ago in the summer. Also people from our organization is there, and it's a bit older. It's on YouTube, and it's done by a student of our masters. So they are good to check out if you want to know more. Okay, then let's go to the case of Girona. So the main starting point for our collaboration there is that cities like Girona are dependent on growth, and that's a problem. Why is that a problem? Well, in the global sense, I'll skip down. There are some benefits to growth. It can improve incomes. It manages stability, so you can make the level of employment kind of stable. You can meet debt obligations. You have money for social spending through taxation and the rest. But then, of course, you also have a long list of social costs, no? Be it the climate breakdown, the environmental disasters, then also north-south relation, exploitative relations, wars, cultural homogenization, social sacrifice in the name of growth, like it would happen in 2008 with the last big crisis, no austerity, welfare cuts, and the rest. Well, this can go on and on. And then if you focus on the city, it reproduces a bit the same schema of having some benefits, but also a lot of setbacks. So again, cities need growth to have funds for their spending, for infrastructures and the rest. And then also, of course, it creates jobs and incomes in the private sector, or that can go into the public through taxation. But then there are also the costs, such as pollution, congestion, rents, and cost of living. This is something that Girona is experiencing a lot. Well, all cities in Spain. I assume here, I think in Munich as well. Well, and then other types of things that, for instance, the increase in well-being after a certain point, at a certain threshold, doesn't really increase at the same pace that GDP does. Well, and it also ties up in certain productive systems, certain kind of economic arrangements that impede progressive policies to develop. So then, knowing this, then how can a city like Girona become independent and prosper without growth? So that's what we aim to do. And we are, I mean, this is a very ambitious goal. We also realized after that we had a very ambitious title, like Postgrowth policy, new policies and ideas from Catalonia. So we are looking for them. It's not that we have them.
We are on the ideas,
yeah.
current now.
Yes.
The policies will come.
Hopefully. But what we are doing already, we are kind of focusing on these three directions of action. One is analysis and diagnosis, so we are doing several, some more scholarly, some more technical research, applied research in the city regarding the different sectors that the municipal government has some leeway in applying some changes on the policies or not. Then also we are doing research within the city hall itself and the people involved in the movement or the political force that's now leading the city hall on how some structural problems or some organizational problems can tie in this growth dependency, let's say. Then we are also much investing in fostering pedagogy and communication with the wider public beyond academia. So we are working with the school system to, particularly in the environmental education curricula, to give this vision of a kind of post-growth or degrowth understanding of environmental questions, let's say, which it's very broad, I cannot really get into it. But that's one side. The other side is we're working hard in trying to get to those people that are usually not in the same communication channels. They don't speak the same language as us, meaning both activists and scholars. So we think that's a very important action point to foster. And then the networking and alliance building, which is like what we see us now doing here, is trying to not also networking and having collaborations with other institutions, but also, as Sergi mentioned, also other municipalities that might be interested in a similar process.
And also inside the city, which is very important because of course it is known by few people, no? Like the people more engaged into this or more passionate, but like the most of the people don't know nothing about degrowth, or it sounds big, but no, they don't know nothing. People or I don't know, commercial organizations, small and medium companies of the city, different spaces or local organizations, local forces, local actors or stakeholders in general. It's very important to explain them what is this agreement, in what's about, and also what is not the degrowth, or the degrowth focus on, especially on the big companies, let's say, or the big social metabolism bodies that are not the most of the companies, or the most of the let's say, how to explain, like entities in a city like Girona, or all the other cities actually.
So yeah, just to wrap up so that we have some time for discussion. What are the challenges? Well, clearly we already touched upon some of them. First of all, misconceptions, fears and resistances, particularly through the idea of degrowth or post-growth. Typical ones are, okay, this is just going to bring us poverty, austerity, and the rest. Or then we also have, well, a challenge of finding the resources, financial or human resources in terms of capability of doing this work, because it's a lot of work. We are few people, also a small city, in the sense that it's an important city, it's a relevant city, but also has a proportional budget to the size. There are institutional and political limits. So political limits could be also what Sergi mentioned before, no? This short-sighted view on like the next 4 years. No, I will have an election. I need to do things that don't make me lose votes. Let's say, no.
Because in Spain, the local elections are every 4 years. So imagine, it's almost nothing.
And then institutional limits is regarding more what are the competencies of the institution, what a city hall really can do. Cannot really, some things can do, most things cannot do, but we are trying, okay, that's a challenge, to also be creative and see how we can work around the corners. Also, sometimes we did a workshop on how we can hack the machine, let's say, hack the institution, maybe making some changes that are perhaps not seen as related to an outcome that you want, but might work.
For example, I don't know in Germany, to be honest, or other countries that you may come from, but in Catalonia or Spain, the local competencies are, for example, housing, but not regularization of, by law. So like social housing, tax the housing, for example, as well. Then, for example, big ones, of course, urbanism, waste, water. Now we have a public company of water in the urban area. Electricity, somehow. I don't know, social services, culture, sports, a bit of education, a bit of health, but the biggest part of these competence is from the Catalan government. Many other, I don't know. Also cooperation, for example, the international cooperation, it's very embedded into the local governments. More or less of this. I manage the waste, also the landscape and biodiversity. So like parks and gardens, water, also like the food, let's say, because we have a kind of big community gardens in Girona, actually shared with another village next to ours. And I also like energy, I don't know, environmental quality, these kind of things are empowered from the municipalities, either in Girona or Madrid or whatever.
So yeah, and well, just to finish this, of course, the scale of the crisis we are in, many of the things that you can do, not even a city, no, even at a national level, seemed quite irrelevant when you think about the scale of the magnitude and also the scale of the agents and the factors and the dynamics, of global capitalism involved in that. So that's a bit put up, and also the emergency. This is clearly it's not something that conceptual anymore. Like with the drought, for instance, it was actually a declaration of an emergency, which brought a series of policies and actions actually. So that's why some of the challenges I also put them as opportunities, like the last one, the emergency one, because in an emergency situation you can also, some things get activated sometimes, some common senses are changed, some opportunities appear. So, but some of the opportunities we've identified is the replicability, the usability and the adaptiveness to different contexts, or to different cities particularly, different cities of similar size perhaps, and similar characteristics, but across Spain, perhaps across Europe, or the global north. What Sergi mentioned before is a bidirectional learning processes. So as researchers and also activists involved, we learn from the institution, their structural shortcomings, or their also virtues, and the other way around, from the city hall, which is an institution very much focused on the day-to-day, trying to fix everything, fix constant problems.
Daily fires.
Yeah, daily fires. I think that's a Catalonia expression, but
you imagine, like not literally, but like every day there are like problems, and of course.
So yeah, to think a bit beyond, to reflect about the big picture of it and how to apply it locally. Also, what I think it's been symptomatic of the breaking the taboo and inspiring change is the big reception that it had, big at some level. But yeah, like people like the president of Colombia tweeting about it, or even it was also covered. It was on the site of a piece on degrowth by the Atlantic magazine, a US magazine. It was mentioned like, also this crazy idea, they want to apply it in a city in Spain. But it was funny, because actually the news was that this agreement was signed. It was not that we did the transition, and that would be big news, So why this happened is like, okay, it's quite unique in that sense, and this brings an opportunity to maybe say some people, okay, they are doing that, maybe it's not such a crazy idea, maybe it's not so scary. Well, the unique historical context at many levels, this can be in many ways, but some of which is like, at least in Spain and Catalonia, is like the ideas about questioning the imperative of growth, that we really need growth at all costs to maintain a good way of living. It's breaking up, and so that gives also space for working in those areas that perhaps 10, 15 years ago would seem like completely out of the question. And also locally, it's an opportunity because it's the first time, I'm talking now as R&D or as researchers working in this kind of more radical part of academia. It doesn't happen so often that an institution like a city hall would come and say, okay, please let's work with us, whatever you need, ask for it, up to a point. But like that, it's very open to talk about these things and gives us freedom to frame and explore things as we like. And that would be all. And we're very thankful for the invitation here and for you attending, for Lena and Melanie for organizing this, and looking forward to the discussion. If you have any comments, questions, criticisms, we are also coming here as these learning processes and networking, so please jump in.